Recording. Okay, we have Karina
Lillian
LaMalfa
McDermott
today. So today we're going to learn and grow about setting ourselves up for success. You can hear me. Yeah, hear me. Here we go. I hope that we learn together how to set ourselves up for success. We're going to continue this journey about transitioning to health. Time to dance, Karina.
Right here, and when you need a friend, you can
Head bop will do.
on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show, the purpose of the show is to provide a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening friend, will feel empowered to live the life of your dreams. But I also want you to embrace a new truth. This is a new truth that many of us have been kept from, a new truth that many of us believe is false. Gosh, there's so much we don't know. So I normally don't time myself. I don't date myself because some of these shows are timeless. You can listen to the show over and over and over again. And I normally don't say things like Happy Valentine's Day or Happy Thanksgiving or Happy whatever, because I want to be able to share this at a time where I'm taking a break, but I am going to stamp myself, date myself today, but I still hope that you will understand if you listen to the show later on that it is so important to set ourselves up for success. Many of us are already making plans. This year has gone so fast, and many of us are already thinking, how's my year, next year going to be different? How am I going to embrace maybe a new truth? Maybe you've been listening to the Lillian McDermott radio show long enough to say, let me consider this new truth. And again, I'll say, and I think I'm advertising way too much for the Flat Earth Society, but there was a time that they thought the earth was flat. And then they learned a new truth, but that new truth took thousands of years, 1,000 years to come to fruition. People now understand that the earth is a sphere, but there's still people that believe the earth is flat. Is that you? Do you believe the earth is flat? Well, I'm not talking just about the earth. I'm talking about, eating healthy, GMOs, and what there's so many things that we don't know. So today we're going to set ourselves up. Are you wanting to embrace health? Because in order for you to embrace health, you're going to need to or get to embrace a new lifestyle. Are you willing to do that? Will you consider that today as we bring in Karina LaMalfa of Ethos Health? You've heard Dr. Ron Weiss. He is in the documentary featured in Eating You Alive. And I fell in love with him, and I fell in love with his staff. I went to visit him in New Jersey. And Karina is one that I feel like she's my sister from another mister, because she and I it took us a long time to take one picture, didn't it, Karina? Yes, and so I want us to set ourselves up for success. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am so grateful that Karina LaMalfa is on the Lillian McDermott radio show to do just that. Welcome, Karina, to the Lillian McDermott radio show.
Thank you, Lily. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Well, I am grateful too. And for those of you who would like to listen to Karina, she's been on my show before. You can go to whenyouneedafriend.com to learn a little bit more about her and her background. But share a little bit about your journey, your story, and what led you to this health.
Wow. So what led me to this basically was taking a look at my family one day and saying, my goodness, we have sinusitis and we have allergies, we have stomach issues, and there has to be another way to tackle this. So my good friend Asha, who also works at Ethos Health.
I didn't know she was your good friend.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
go.
She and I, our oldest kids were in kindergarten together, and we were suffering with a lot of the same things. And she slid the China study across the table to me one day at lunch and said, "You really need to read this." So I read it, and we were both seeing Dr. Furman, who's also been on your show.
Yes, for the last 2 years, yeah.
Very locally, and it just created a seismic shift. So from there, I was working in marketing, and my hobby was researching all of these plant-based nutritionists and figuring out how they could solve people's maladies truthfully, and it was working for us. So I actually got a job with Whole Foods. I was hired in the marketing team, and I moved to the healthy eating specialist. And we moved on to create the wellness clubs. So I got there right at the right time, and I was so blessed and so lucky to be able to be trained by T. Colin Campbell and the Esselstyns and Dr. Furman again, of course, but also Dr. Alona Pulday out on the West Coast, Dr. Letterman, and I just really felt lucky because I was seeing, as you said, a new truth. And it's a much easier way to live. My goodness, it's so much easier and so much more joyful to have good energy and to be able to do what we were put here to do.
Absolutely. And for those of you, if you're tuning in today, it is by divine intervention that you are. So stay tuned, because we're going to talk about 6 ways that you can set yourself up for not just you, but your kitchen for great health. And we're going to continue our conversation with Karina LaMalfa of Ethos Health when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Okay, so I'm sure my mics are off. The show within the show. 6 steps for a whole food, plant-based kitchen. So we're setting ourselves up for success. And we're also setting our kitchen up at the same time. So if we set the kitchen, now I don't know about you, and I probably will mention this during the show, but I know when I sabotage myself. And I'm sure you know when you're sabotaging yourself. How long did it take you to truly embrace a whole food plant-based diet?
So starting in 2004, I leaned in pretty heavily, but I slid off a little bit. So I would say what really firmed it up for me was getting to Ethos Health 4 years ago, because I could see people coming in and changing, and I could see the way we set up the pantry, and I could see the way we just weren't allowing ourselves to have too many excuses. So so I would say it took 10 years.
Wow, isn't that the truth, right?
Yeah.
So I'm well within that path, because I was talking to a doctor, because all these people that you mentioned have been on my show. We have Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Campbell. Dr. Esselstyn's been on my show twice, and so Dr. Esselstyn, he said something that I've said before. I say, I eat about 80% well. That other 20%, I am not going to worry about it. I am just going to. And so that's what I say. And I know I've never said that to him. So he said to me, Lily, I had this woman come up to me and go, Dr. Esselstyn, I love your diet. I follow it 90% of the time. And he banged his fist on the table and he said, that's not my diet. My diet is 100%. I'm like, oh man, I better not tell him about me.
It's so true.
And he's this 80-year-old man who has every thought cell intact.
Yes, that's the goal. That's the goal.
Here we go. And I hear that we're getting back. Time to dance. Second round.
You can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show. And if you're listening right now, it's divine. Don't move on. Don't touch that dial. Don't do anything other than listen. Keep driving or keep listening. If you can, write notes. If not, you can always watch our video, because what we're going to do today is we're going to of course, we always do the radio show, which everybody's listening to. But during the breaks, we're going to have some tips that we can't share. We don't have enough time to share on the air, but I want you to feel comfortable to join me at whenyouneedafriend.com. Just click onto the YouTube and then you can watch it later. So if you can't write notes, then you can watch this later, because this is so crucial. I don't know about you, my listening friend, but here's what I know. I know that if I want to go to the gym the next morning, if I don't set my clothes out, my sneakers, my socks, my bag, if that's not all ready to go, I will not go. I know myself enough to know that. So today we're going to talk about setting up our kitchen so that we can be successful. Karina has 6 steps to achieving a transition of a whole food, plant-based kitchen. And so in setting up our kitchen, we set ourselves up for success. That's like bringing out your gym bag, your sneakers, like my equivalent. So Karina, let's talk about these 6 steps, because you've been doing this now for a long time. You've been seeing the miracles at Ethos Health. So share a little bit about that. I asked you the question during the break, which was, when did it set in for you? When did you set yourself up for success? Go ahead.
Yeah, I truly think the big shift changed for me to even go from 80% really clean eating into the much higher 90s when I got to Ethos Health, because Dr. Weiss is pretty strict, and we see people all the time. And actually, we always say if you give 100% effort, you'll get 100% result. And if you give an 80% effort or a 50% effort, you'll get a 50% result. Sure. And for many of the people we're working with, it's really important. If you're looking to step away from cancer or heart disease, or if you're afraid that you may get dementia as your parents or grandparents did, if you're trying to bring your blood pressure down, you really do need to give it a wholehearted effort. So I went through about 6 steps, and we'll talk about those. I think the first most important step is to create your goal, understand why you're doing this. Figure out what you want to change, and then let your kitchen help you transition. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about those different ways to declutter and organize, and just to keep the focus on the truth, as you mentioned earlier.
It's interesting though. We need to get to a point where we can overcome the food culture.
Yes.
I have been. And it would have been better for me to say to my mom and dad, I'm leaving my religion. Then to say I am stepping away, like the word I like how you said step away from eating beef or pork. When I stepped away from that, that was huge in our family. I grew up Spanish with lots of flavor, with half a cow in the freezer.
Yes.
I can't digest it, but it was very difficult. And the way I ate, I had to bring some of my food every time because it wasn't embraced and it was kind of ridiculed. I know that I'm like a generational pattern shifter in my home because I've not followed the protocol.
Absolutely. And I got the same thing. There's a lot of backlash. I think it makes people very uncomfortable when you talk about making a big change to the culture. Our culture is learned, right? So food is nutrition. That's the part we can hold to. But what we do with food, whether it's comfort or love or how it's put across our table, that part we learn. So the good news is we can unlearn a little bit of that, and we can help our families unlearn that too. And they can see that we can still love our holidays with them, and we can still replicate some of those same really meaningful meals. But we can do it hopefully without the illness that comes
very good
from the standard American diet.
Very good.
So I would say that the first thing, if you're excited about doing a kitchen reset, the first thing, which is actually point 2, is to really cleanse your fridge. And when I did the Ruby Culinary School, that was also the very first step to clean out your refrigerator. We'll also take a look at our pantry, and we'll talk about purging the pantry and taking out what we don't need, what doesn't serve us, and adding in what does. And then, the exciting part is taking a look at the tools in your kitchen. I've seen some amazing cooks and chefs do great health creating foods in the smallest kitchens with a knife and a peeler. So it doesn't have to be fancy, but we can talk about some other slightly more fancy things that you might want to add in. And then we'll talk about creating those recipes, a recipe bank, even if it's just 5 to 8 recipes that you find happy and comforting, and you can continue to make those and perfect those. And then we'll talk about helping you by batch cooking and freezing. So we're going to prepare, and even foods on the go.
Okay, that's all awesome. So we're going to do all this, and I have to share a story. And I don't know if I've shared this with you, Karina, before, but I was at the gym not too long ago, probably it could be a year ago, that I was at a particular gym, and they were giving me a tour because they wanted to become a sponsor, and I was standing there waiting, and this man came in. He was about 100 pounds overweight, and I heard him say, "I need to lose 100 pounds, and because my daughter's getting married, I want to look good when I walk her down the aisle." But it broke my heart when I heard that, because I know his goal wasn't finished. His goal was partly there, because I know what's going to happen when he releases the 100 pounds, or actually he would lose the 100 pounds and then he would find it again once he walks his daughter down the aisle. So I couldn't stay with my mouth shut, which is a big problem sometimes that I could have. And I said, what's going to happen after you walk her down the aisle? And he could not answer that. So let's talk about our goals, our reason, our why.
Yes. So the why is hugely important. I mean, and it would be very hard for me in that situation, Lillian, to also keep my mouth quiet, because I would also want to say, well, she needs you in her life. And, walking her down the aisle is a wonderful goal and looking good, but how about being healthy so that you can support your family and enjoy all the wonderful things coming up?
Yeah.
So some people want to get rid of migraines. Some people want to talk about mood, and flaxseed is a very powerful agent. So we recommend that daily, ground flaxseed mixed with water or a little bit of organic applesauce, and it really helps with reducing depression and just making us. Yeah.
I never heard that before.
And so does the entire whole food, plant-based way of life. So our gut is so important in our health. And when we don't interfere by adding fats that don't support us, and when we switch to adding good, healthy fats like nuts and seeds, flaxseed, and what am I forgetting? Avocado at times. What happens is the cells in our gut that actually are supposed to create tons of serotonin actually do. And then we're happy. So we talk about it. Sometimes we call it the whole food plant-based high, but it's for real. And people are generally much happier, and they sleep better, and their skin clears up, and they look brighter and younger. And no one tells us that that's a bad thing too.
Well, I want to add something there. I don't think either one of us is saying that if you eat whole food plant-based, your depression will go away. But here's the thing. Many people have quote unquote chemical depression.
Good point.
Guess what that chemical is that's missing? What is missing from your body that could be causing that quote unquote chemical depression? So nutrition may be a key, or will be a key for all of us, especially people who are chemically depressed.
Right.
Then there's a second point that I want to add here, and we'll continue with what you're saying, is there are people who are depressed or sad because they haven't dealt with certain issues. So there's a difference between the two, and I want us to be aware of that as we go forward and sit with ourselves as to why am I unhappy? Okay, so go ahead.
That is a great point. And maybe setting the kitchen and setting the goals for the new year, right? Maybe that will strengthen us to look at the things that could be making us unhappy as well.
Correct. Absolutely. Clear all
So,
that stuff.
so what we want to do is we want your kitchen to be a peaceful oasis from the outside food culture, which is selling you things and not necessarily having your best interest at heart. So for your kitchen to have your best interest at heart, you may need some books and some videos and some good websites, and certainly checking in with Lily, periodically.
Thank you. Yes.
All these heavy hitters, right from your iPad in your kitchen.
Yeah.
So your kitchen is going to support you. Your education will support you. And then as you clear things out, you can donate them, which will lift you and make you lighter. And then you'll have lots of patience in that kitchen because you'll continually be strengthened. And again, as Lily said, it's like learning a new language or changing a religion. We hope that in that kitchen, you'll learn to be patient with yourself. It does take time. We were talking, can take 10 years for some people.
Yeah.
I think it took 10 years until I was working with Dr. Ron Weiss every day, and he reminded me 100% effort is better than 50% or 80%. So, and we always want to use lapses or any slides away from our kitchen, our good, clean kitchen, as information, not as failure. So
very good. I like that point. Now, you had mentioned about cleaning your refrigerator, but many of us grew up with, you throw something away, you're committing a sin. You know how many people in Africa could use that, would love to, and that guilt and shaming about food started way before we could even understand that. So for us to throw something away, or to, better to give it away, but if it's already opened, what do you do?
Well, if it's already opened, I generally pour it down the sink if it's liquid, or I put it in my trash and then I carefully rinse the packaging if it can be recycled. And I feel like I'm at least doing something. I'm doing my part for the planet, because at least I'm putting the containers into recycling. So I know it's a small thing.
I'm just telling you, I can hear it. I'm trying to remember the name of our guest. He said, listen, just eat it all. Just throw a party, just eat it all. And then start over that following week. Don't buy it anymore.
I was thinking that as well.
Your last hurrah.
You could have one last hurrah. I'm sure our patients do. So yeah. So are we ready to move into the refrigerator?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great.
Real quick.
Wait.
Here we go. So we're going to talk about our refrigerator next, and how to stock our refrigerator, because one part is purging, the other part is restocking. What are you restocking with? Let's set ourselves up for success. I know maybe you can't start now, but the new year's coming, and so let's see if we can plan ahead and set ourselves, our kitchen, up for success. We're going to continue our conversation with Karina LaMalfa when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. I loved your face when I was saying last hurrah.
Oh, why not? I mean, it's true, because a lot of it is still really good food.
Yeah.
Like some of it is just salty. So I do keep olives and things like that. I mean, my kids have to eat. They have to cook. Yeah. So I may not eat a whole lot of olives and capers and things like that. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, yeah.
Well, what's wrong with olives, Karina?
Well, it's the salt. So generally, we don't use a whole heck of a lot of salt. We don't use any salt really at Ethos, very little. Dr. Weiss uses a tiny bit.
Yeah. So I had, you don't need salt. You really don't need salt.
You really don't.
Okay, so I had a listener saying, let me see. Good morning. Would you ask, what's the best white sugar substitute?
Okay, yes, we're getting to that. Good.
Okay. I no longer use diet versions of sugar, but I do need something for my morning coffee. Thanks. Small steps. I love that question, small steps. Oh my gosh. I love it. Okay. So if you can make yourself a note.
Oh, yes.
And I'll
Definitely.
remind
Good.
people,
That is right on there.
where does it fall in line when it comes to sugar and the purge? The purge, you got a pantry?
So cleanse the fridge. It's right there. So so identify, so just
Sugar.
understand ingredients,
Okay.
things that have processed sugar and processed oils.
Yeah, let's go through that as quickly as we possibly can.
Okay.
But go ahead and go into it right now. You can go into it right now.
Okay.
Got 4 minutes.
Okay. So we're going to identify ingredients that we want to remove, right? So that we said processed sugar, white sugar, oils, because the body sees those as a processed food, and then salt, things that are high in salt. So oil,
sugar,
yep,
salt.
and salt. Yep, pretty easy. SOS, salt, oil, sugar.
What else is there?
So the very first and most important thing is to remove foods with added sugar. So cane sugar, brown sugar, anything that has OSE in it. And we're going to replace them with berries, dates, dried apricots, dried mango.
But you know what? Okay, Karina, I love dates.
Yeah.
I don't crave sugar anymore. And let me tell you, I was a sugarholic. I went on a cruise.
I was too.
I went on a cruise on the Allure of the Sea, and they had a cotton candy maker.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, the cotton candy was 6 feet tall. I ate it all.
Yeah.
I'm not proud of it, but I just wanted to share what a sugarholic I was.
You know, sugar, people's cravings tend to fall into the sugar or the salt category. And I would be in the sugar category right with you, Lillian. So absolutely. But
dates don't taste good in my coffee or in my tea.
No, they don't, but they can be blended into a date paste. So we can talk, if you want, about how to do that, how to make a date paste, how to make a dried apricot paste. If you can get yourself to a good health food store and buy the ugly dried apricots, the ones that are brown because they don't have any sulfites in them. So you soak those in warm water and then give them, and then just blend them in a blender. Put it in a mason jar with a lid, and it'll stay for about 2 weeks in your refrigerator. And it's crazy good in coffee and tea.
Really? The apricot or the dates?
I love, the apricot gives you just that little bit of a fruity flavor. A date, to me, tastes more like caramel.
Yes.
So if you're looking to add like a caramel flavor, definitely do the same thing. 1 cup of dates, warm water up to the top, let them soften for half an hour, and then blend them. If you have a high-speed blender like a Vitamix, it does get really smooth, but you can also do it with a regular blender, because they're pretty soft.
Yeah. I tell you what, this for Thanksgiving, I made a raw pumpkin pie.
Yum.
And I didn't realize why until I left it in the refrigerator. It needed to go into the freezer. And because it gives it that consistency of, oh my God, it's so good for. And we're gonna, okay, here we go. I hear the music. Oh, this is where I talk about my
or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lily.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I am your host, Lillian McDermott, and I am so grateful that we have our teacher today, Karina LaMalfa. I believe that everybody's a teacher and everybody is a student, and it is so important that we learn from each other each day. And that's what the show, the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, is about: growth. It's about taking 100% responsibility for the life that we want to live. Today we're talking about how to set ourselves up and our kitchen for success, because that is where we love our family. As moms, this is where we love our family, but how are we loving our kids? And we really need to figure out, how are we loving ourselves? And so I want to encourage you to learn a new truth. A new truth that will set you free, that will allow you to look at your life and say, I've got this down. I've got this set. I'm eating well. Now, what else do I need to look at? And when you look at things in life without judgment, without making yourself fault, blame, shame, with any of that, it's amazing how much more growth your body will allow you to experience. And this is what we talk about on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, and I want to encourage you to become a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber yet, please do, because when you do, you get the show sent right to you. You can also become a subscriber on YouTube, and then you'll get the video sent to you. So there's so many different ways that we can grow together. So become a subscriber, you get some free gifts, and while you're there, I want to encourage you to reach out to my sponsors. Because of my sponsors, this show is on the air. And I'm so thrilled because every single one of them is handpicked. I don't just allow anybody. And if you want to become a sponsor of the show, please reach out to me. Anyway, at whenyouneedafriend.com or at 407-373-5959. So I want to encourage you to like me on my social media, check out my podcast, YouTube. There's so many different ways we can stay connected. And during the break, I received a text from someone who is taking baby steps. And I am just so thrilled that she asked the question about sugar substitutes. And so, Karina LaMalfa is here, and she said, oh, that's great, because that's the next thing we're going to talk about, how to purge our refrigerator. So let's talk about that. And thank you so much, Karina, for taking the time to be on the show.
And thank you, Lillian. So first, I think before we purge, we need to know what we're taking out, right?
Sure.
So what we want to do is we want to look at ingredients. So we want to remove anything that has sugar, processed sugar, as your listener said, any artificial sugars, oils that are not found in a seed or a nut. Mm-hmm. So we'll take out anything with a processed oil, including hydrogenated oils, and we'll remove anything that is high in salt. So let's look at the sugar.
So what is high in salt? What is considered, Karina, high in salt?
Well, at Ethos, anything with added salt is considered high in salt. We tend to look for natural salts that might be found in parsley, spinach, celery. So we're pretty hardcore with that.
Okay. So celery salt is really good.
Celery, well, the salt that is in celery, when you cleanse your palate and you move away from salt, oil, and sugar, you get this cleaner palate, which is just much more sensitive to the tastes and things that are in food. And you'll notice that cashews are sweet, and you'll notice that avocados have a saltiness to them, and so does baby spinach and celery. So you'll start to use some of those things. We do use a little bit of Dijon mustard, and in my cooking I use some miso paste. Okay. If I really, really need, a little bit of a saltiness, and that adds an umami flavor too, which is nice.
Yeah, and you and I were talking about during the break about, the pastes that we can make.
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so instead of having sugar-filled jellies and jams in your refrigerator, we'll replace them with date and apricot paste. So if you can find yourself a nice organic dried date or a nice organic dried apricot, and take about a cup of that in a bowl and cover it with warm water and let it sit for 30 minutes. And then all you have to do is blend it. I do mine in a Vitamix, but a regular blender will do. And that'll stay in your refrigerator in a mason jar with a lid for about 2 weeks. And you can take a spoonful of that and put it in your tea, or I think your listener was asking about what would be great in coffee, right? Mm-hmm. So the date paste will add a very caramel flavor. Mm-hmm. And the apricot paste becomes like a jelly. And that'll be wonderful in oatmeal. And then what will happen is over time, when I say time, I mean 2 weeks. I mean, your taste will change, and suddenly you'll go back to something and you'll say, my goodness, that's much too sweet for me. Yes. Now I prefer berries and dates and fruit and steamed apples and baked apples and pineapple and things like that. So
I would love to talk about the specifics during the break, because that'll encourage people, because I really want to go through a lot, but there's so much to talk about when it comes to, and we could probably do a series with you. You're coming up to Jacksonville, so we're setting a date that we can be face to face with one another, and maybe we can invite some of our listeners to join us. What do you think?
That would be wonderful.
That would be great. We could do a little class with Karina. Okay, so cleaning our fridge is essential to know what's in it. And so SOS is what you said. Salt,
that's right.
Oil, sugar.
Yes, and then let's remove any sweetened beverages. Things like soda can have as much as 11 teaspoons of processed white sugar in one can or bottle, which we would consider one serving. It also hides in barbecue sauces, dressings, tomato sauces, ketchup, applesauce, things like that. So you're going to read carefully. Take away anything that has those sweeteners in it. It'll help your body step away from it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to replace those drinks with chilled water, water with fruit in it, water with lemon, herbal teas. And then let's see, what else did I take out? All processed foods. So things that might be in your refrigerator that would probably need to go at holiday time might be a pie crust, a quick and easy pie crust. And we can always show you, Ethos has recipes for how to make a better one.
Yeah, you could go to myethoshealth.com.
Yes,
and
we'll get
more.
some. Yeah, we'll get some recipes up there. Processed gravies, all processed foods. And you're going to, I like to rub the whole, this is weird though, but I do like to wash the whole refrigerator down with vinegar, with white vinegar, and then back. It's almost symbolic, that you're just making the space really clean.
So that would be good. Take everything out. Cleanse everything with vinegar.
White vinegar.
Shelves, white vinegar, straight or diluted?
I did it straight. You can dilute it half and half if you want. And then now the stuff that you're putting back in is going to be speaking to your truth. It's going to be fresh fruits, lots of citrus fruit this time of year, so helpful. Whole grains, we talked about nuts and seeds. I refrigerate my nuts and seeds.
Yes.
They all stay better, and all of the healthy fats are available to you better that way. Beans, tofu, tempeh. So we'll talk about beans again when we talk about the pantry.
Well, let's get them both together because I think they're
Yes. So beans stay about 4 days in your refrigerator. So if I'm making beans from dried beans, or if I've opened a can, they're high protein, high moisture, and they go bad fast. So you've got 3 to 4 days for those beans in your
refrigerator. Open a can of beans.
Open that, right? That's right. Don't make it a bad can of beans.
Okay. So there are certain things we know what's not good for us. So during the break, we'll talk about things that aren't good for us. But right now, what are some essential things that we need to make sure that our pantry and our refrigerator has?
Great.
I see there that you have aminos and.
Oh yes, my absolute favorite. So Bragg's liquid aminos, a nice tamari, Dijon mustard I mentioned, miso paste, tahini, very helpful. It's great in a dressing. Non-dairy milks, whatever you like, almond milk, hemp milk, soy milk. And with soy, always go organic.
Non-GMO organic.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And you'll notice that if this is what your refrigerator looks like, you're going to shop more frequently. But that's okay. We'll pretend we're European. People in Europe and France, they shop every day or two. Yes. So you'll be picking up fresher things more frequently, but you'll feel better.
Well, but we're going to talk about batch cooking in a little bit. That will eliminate that too.
Yes.
So yeah, you may want to get some greens there more frequently. But your food that you're going to be eating, you can prepare it on Sunday or Saturday, whatever your day off is. Do batch cooking. I love batch cooking. Okay, so then you're talking about some of the essential things that we need in the kitchen.
Right. So can we move? We'll move now into the pantry, right? So whatever your pantry is, if it's a shelf over your stove or if you have a walk-in pantry, we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to look for processed oil, processed sugar, and processed salt, right? So we're going to take things that have that out again.
And you see that in the ingredients. When you look at the ingredients, it'll say salt.
Right. And now I'm going to show you, at Ethos, we're pretty hardcore. So we would probably have you remove all of your cereals, even if it's a whole grain cereal, because just to bring a cereal up to being palatable for the average American, there's still a good amount of salt and sugar in it. So we're going to pack that pantry filled with whole grains. Intact grains are best. So minimally processed steel cut oats. You can do whole grain pastas. crackers, quinoa, polenta, millet, and brown rice. Those are
Okay.
my favorites.
Okay, just to name a few of my favorite things. We're going to continue our conversation with Karina LaMalfa when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. So much to learn, so little time.
I know.
I know. Okay, so let's talk about this a little because I think we have about 4 minutes at this point. So
Okay.
now let's dive into the do's and don'ts.
Okay, so the do's and don'ts in your pantry. So the do's, lots of canned and dried beans. I like them both. They have a different consistency, right? So when you're making your own beans from dried beans, they have like a crunchiness, a very fresh flavor. But
And they're
cheaper.
Oh my
I need those low sodium canned beans too, because sometimes I run home from work and I have exactly 15 minutes to make a 3-bean chili that we're all going to eat. So I need both. You're going to then look at canned tomatoes, tomato paste, tomato products. Lentils, my goodness, they cook up so fast. They're so helpful. And I know a lot of people keep their garlic, ginger, and onion in the pantry as well.
Mhm.
You can keep it in your refrigerator if you want. I freeze my ginger, so I don't know where to put that. So
Really?
so lots of different vinegars. You can keep those in your pantry as well. Take out any processed dressings or any dressings with lots of ingredients that we're avoiding. And then don't forget the yummy vanilla bean, vanilla extract, because you'll be using it in baking and making your oatmeals. So I think I covered everything. So
Yeah. You know, I just got a text back from our listener, and she said that she thanked you for the idea. And I said, I love dates. And she said, I have never had dates. Oh, she's in for a treat.
She's in for a treat. It's so true.
And what Dr. Furman says, you know, the whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead. The whiter the food, you know, we just have to know what goes into it. We've just been so domesticated.
Yes.
And we've been mocked and ridiculed if we think anything other than that, you know, food is all nutritious.
It's so true. It's so true. And, you know, one of my favorite registered dietitians is Brenda Davis, and she does a great whole grain hierarchy. If anyone wants to spend 11 minutes watching why.
What's her name?
Brenda Davis. It's called the whole grain hierarchy. And she explains why we talk about at Ethos, why intact grains are best. So we're talking about whole kernels of wheat, you know, the entire kernel of it, you know, whole corn, whole teff and millet, and the body just processes it differently.
Okay.
So you said white bread, right? So white bread is fluffy. So anything that's fluffy is not going to be truly health supportive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So Karina, we have 8 minutes when we come back. So it's so important that we go over very quickly so that, and then afterwards, let's see, I've got a couple things. I don't have a lot of time afterwards, but I would like to, here we go, focus on, you know, quickly, and then we can talk quickly afterwards.
Count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. Today's teacher is Karina LaMalfa. And I'm telling you, I think we're going to do a series, and she's coming to Jacksonville at the beginning of the year. So let's see if we can plan something where all of us can sit around with Karina and learn and grow with her. So let's see what we can do and create together. For now, we're talking about setting our kitchen up for success. And for those of you who just tuned in, I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com to hear this show, become a subscriber. It will be sent to you. Or between the show, we've been talking about, you know, more specifics, because there's so much. We cannot fit it in the hour that we're together. Okay, so the first step is to focus on your reason. Why? What is your why? Are you embracing health? Or what? What is it that you want to do? Is it an illness that you've been told you have? most of it reversible. Okay, cleanse your refrigerator and add good stuff in, and you can go back and listen to that. Purge your pantry and bring good stuff in. Once you set yourself up for success, then what will you have? If you have it in the home, then you'll eat it. If you don't have it in the home, then you'll purge it. You won't eat it. So let's talk about essential tools, because my kids come over to my house and they see my blender, all my little processing things that I never would have used a food processor. As a matter of fact, I threw my food processor away because I never used it. But there's so many little tools that make our life easier when we eat whole food, plant-based. Go ahead and share some more.
It's so true. You're so right. The most important thing is a sharp chef knife, and it doesn't have to be expensive. My absolute favorite one is an off-the-rack $19.99 knife, but I also have a little $12 knife sharpener just to keep that edge, and that's what does it. Because when you're eating like this, you're chopping a lot. I come home from the store with a pile of whole fresh vegetables, and I need to turn it quickly and safely into meals. So chef knife number one. Next, you'll need a ladle, a large spoon, a whisk, a spatula, a cutting board, a couple of different sizes of pots. Always, my favorite pot is one with a small one with a tight-fitting lid so that I can steam vegetables. Mm-hmm. And once your palate gets used to the taste of beautiful plain foods in their own right, you will love just steaming a little bit of spinach in 4 minutes, a sweet potato in 8 minutes. It's better than a microwave. It cooks everything really quickly.
And you can buy frozen foods if you don't want to go every
That's
day.
True.
You could get
Absolutely.
frozen and steam that as well. Good now, I have a blender, and most people go, well, I can't afford that blender, and most people can't afford that blender. But you know what? You can buy it used. You can buy a lot of these things used. Take advantage of someone who bought the new car, and you buy the used car. It's still a good car. Take advantage of the one that bought the good blender and not use it anymore. Take advantage of it. You can find it so many ways cheaper. So go ahead.
That's really true. And then there are, an immersion blender you can get for a very, very low price. And it's sometimes called a stick blender, and it comes with a little cup and usually a chopping device. So it can become a multi-use, blending your soups, blending your vegetables, blending your dates, all in that little cup. And that one is very, very handy too. So you'll need some mixing bowls and some storage containers. What did we say earlier? We said a vegetable peeler.
Yes.
You can make noodles, and that's really all you need. It can always be fancier.
Yeah, you can also use a veggetti for people who I remember, with a spiralizer
Yep.
But now a little veggetti is like a pencil sharpener, and you can make noodles like that too. Okay,
right.
So now we have, I think the 5 and 6 can go together because we
Yes.
went through 4, 5 and 6, which is building a recipe bank that you talked about,
Mm-hmm.
and then batch cooking. Let's talk about batch cooking, which is my favorite thing.
Batch cooking, and that's something we talked about when you came to visit up in New Jersey.
Yes.
That was wonderful. That was a great day. So batch cooking is something where you set aside a day or two and you put music on and you've shopped and you cook more than you normally would. So you cook maybe you cook 8 servings, even if you're cooking for 1 or 2 people. You cook 10 servings of something. And you're going to have 2 goals. You're going to freeze some of it so that it can then become your new convenience food.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's something that you can bring to that next dinner
that
party
isn't
with your
saturated with oils or salt or sugar, right?
Exactly. Yes. And then you're going to make your next 4 days easier. Yes. Because you will know exactly when you come home from work what you're going to eat, or if you're running out to somebody's basketball game and you need to bring something on the go, you'll have food with you. So some of my favorite foods to batch cook are chilies, curries. For Thanksgiving, I did a Moroccan vegetable tagine with chickpeas and raisins and a lot of spices, and that just gets better every day. Mm-hmm. Other things to batch cook, you can prep your vegetables, steam or bake your sweet potatoes ahead, make your whole grain like a rice or a quinoa, make those ahead. You can actually make your steel cut oats for the whole week. Mm-hmm. And then make some desserts, make some fun things too. If you want to make a raw brownie,
yes.
There's no reason that you can't have these fruits. And my son likes to make a fruit salad ahead. There are lots of different things that you can make just to make your first 4 days of the week a good and easy time. And then maybe on a Wednesday or Thursday night, do it again. And then you'll be all set. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It makes sense. And we're going to talk a little bit more because there's not enough time. And I want to encourage you that if you have time, go ahead and become a subscriber with my YouTube channel. And you can get there through whenyounneedafriend.com, because we're going to talk about the tools, recipes, after the show, because there's not enough time. There's so much. And so Karina said that you have her commitment. She's going to come back and talk about some easy recipes, because she teaches people how to go into a lifestyle change from head to toe, from spirit to, body, mind, and spirit. This is where it goes. Now, people who are listening to you right now that are maybe 100 pounds overweight, maybe they are just got that 10 pounds to go and just have given up, and maybe they're in the incline again. What could you say for the people that say, I have diabetes and I cannot get rid of it, I've got to take medication for the rest of my life? You've seen it at Ethos Health. And we talk about it all the time on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. What is your advice for someone who's listening today that's on the fence and say, yeah, that's all good, but not for me?
Well, never give up, because the body is an amazing healing machine. And if we remove the things that aggravate it, the body will be able to heal. So we're just taking away the obstacles, and the body will do what it really wants to do. It wants to fix as much as it can. So we can't reverse everything, but we can reverse so many things. So I would say be your own little lab experiment. Give it a try. See how it works. Look at a time where you can do it. Set aside a week maybe, or 10 days. Or if you think you can do something for a month. If you think you can try whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, and sugar free, with a guide or with a helper. Ethos Health is always here to help you. There are a lot of people talking about this. We've hit the tipping point. So you can take back your health. I know it, and I see at least 50 people a week who are walking miracles. And you can be that way as well, and your energy will come back and you'll feel better and better.
Absolutely. And like I said at the beginning of the show, not to diminish depression. Yes. I hear so many people say, oh, my depression is chemical. Well, food changes the chemistry of your body. Food changes the chemistry of your gut, and so it's time to take your health back, your life back, and live the life that you want. Karina, thank you so much for being on the show today. I know how excited you are to share this information. You've done this. It's something that you are 100% in alignment with the show, Ethos Health. Can you coach somebody online?
Yes, we are able to do that. It's always best if you can come and see us one time, and then we can continue to coach you. And it's beautiful. The farm is absolutely beautiful. Yes. We still have leaves on the trees. It's beautiful in every season, and a very peaceful place.
Well, I tell you what, I'm looking forward to going back there, but I'm even more looking forward to having you come back and go to Jacksonville so we can do the show live and maybe invite some of our listeners to join us. And so thank you so much, Karina, for being on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show.
Thank you, Lillian. What a pleasure.
Yes, my pleasure. My pleasure is ours. And to you, my listening friend, what will you do with this new truth? Will you continue to take pills? Will you continue to sabotage yourself, or will you set yourself up for success? It's up to you. Let's continue to grow together. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. You got that one. Thank you, Brian. I don't know if Brian's going to be signing off, but you and I have some stuff to talk about. Let's talk about some of the tools real quick, because I've got a few minutes to spare. Let's talk about some of the tools that we can use that are inexpensive.
I just want to say again, you really can get by with a good paring knife, a vegetable peeler, a cutting board, and a pot with a lid. Mm-hmm. I've seen people work miracles with just those things. Mm-hmm. And you can get them at IKEA. Sometimes we do tours.
You can get them at a flea market.
And yes, and you're right. A consignment sale, you might find that blender.
Yeah.
I got rid of my food processor just as you did, Lillian. I didn't think I needed it anymore, but then the more I cooked like this, I realized I needed one. So a chef friend of mine went to a tag sale, and she picked me up the one I'm using now. It's crazy. It doesn't even have a safety gadget. You could take the whole top off and while it's running. But, so let's see, things that I really, really love. I'm very excited now. Do we have people who can see us?
Yeah, right now? Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So
I'm still recording.
Crate and Barrel makes this amazing lemon squeezer.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how, but it gets more lemon and lime juice out of citrus fruit than I've ever gotten with anything else. So $14, great holiday gift.
And if you go to Ross, it's less.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
This is my cheapy chef grade. Look at this. It's just got a plastic handle knife, right? But I keep the edge very honed with this little $10 or $12.
See, I've got that. Okay, I got. Okay, I'm not telling you this because I want to brag or anything.
No,
I'm just telling you I'm disappointed.
Okay.
I got a knife. My husband gave me a knife for Christmas. I never thought that I'd be so excited because when you eat whole food plant-based, you spend a lot of time chopping. And let me tell you, I'm just throwing things in my food processor. I'm eating pulse because I'm just like too busy to keep this up. So he got me a $150 knife. One knife, one gift, $150.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just touched your finger, I mean, all of us, we were like hemophiliacs. Blood was going everywhere. And when you're first working with a knife that's so sharp, now I couldn't cut butter with it.
I know. So the secret with knives is that you have to maintain them. Your knife, because of the price point that you are at, you may be able to send it somewhere or bring it somewhere.
No, I can't. And so I took it to in Brevard County. There's a scissor. I think it's called the Cutting Edge or
yes.
So I took all my knives there, all of them, and they were sharp one day. I need to take them
for one day.
Yeah.
So the best thing is a whetstone, and you can look online if you're really at that level. I don't want to have people be intimidated, but you can get a whetstone, and working with water, you can learn how to sharpen that knife. And then sometimes when I'm rushing, as I said, I use this little guy, just keeps the edge honed. So I feel the difference right away in the knife.
Okay.
And a dull knife.
I got one of those. I'll try it.
A dull knife, unfortunately, is a dangerous knife because what we'll do is we'll compensate by pushing harder.
Yeah.
And we've all taken off more of a finger than we wish to.
Yeah.
And it's devastating and very messy, as you mentioned.
You know what else I love is my mandolin. I cannot live without my mandolin.
Another thing, be very safe with that mandolin, right?
I have some of my husband's DNA, and I swear to you, Karina, that my husband purposely chops his fingers off because he wants to stay out of the kitchen. And I say, no, the more you chop your fingers off, the more you'll have to help me. I
am mailing you a cut glove. They cost about $12. You can get them at Bed Bath & Beyond as a thank you for having me. I will mail you. It goes right on your hand. All you have to do is remember to put it on, and it's on whichever hand is more vulnerable. And it saves your knuckles and your fingers on the mandolin. Yes. But honestly, I also keep a couple of good kitchen scissors. And by good, I just mean any little kitchen scissor. As soon as the people in the family start opening boxes with them and then like cutting through plastic, it becomes the plastic cutting scissors, right? So, but you can snip herbs. There's no right way or no wrong way. You don't have to chop it on a cutting board in any fancy way. If you want to take a kitchen scissor and just snip it right over the top of your soup pot, do it. So those are some pretty fun things that'll make things easier. So cutting board, I like bamboo, I like wood. Again, since I'm not using in my kitchen animal products, I don't have to worry about anything that would leach in or have separate boards.
That's a great point.
But if you still have, meat eaters or chicken eaters, then just label your boards. One of your boards will be just for vegetables and fruit and herbs, and one will be one will be for meat.
Great tip. Great tip. Okay.
Yeah.
So what else do you have in your bag of tricks? Your basket?
Oh, let's see. So things that make things easier. People seem to really love pressure cookers. I'm trying hard not to buy one because I don't want one more gadget.
Yeah.
Um,
I bought a pressure cooker when I first started, and I think I
yeah.
used it for my I tell you, it does accelerate things.
Oh my gosh.
It
You can cook a whole meal in 15 minutes. So I am getting weak. I sense myself getting weak. I do love my Vitamix. I know it's not for everyone. I have a $30 dehydrator. It does amazing things with apples and strawberries, and you can.
Okay, let's talk about dehydration here.
Sure.
I'm not talking about our body dehydration because that's one of the
Right.
main reasons people do get sick and they're depressed.
Yes. I'll take a sip.
Dehydration,
You're right. I'll take
malnutrition, dehydration, and stress are the top three. I learned that from Dr. Lorraine Day. I love her, love her, love her. And so, so here we are. I bought a dehydrator. It's a stackable one. As a matter of fact, my daughter Brittany, she bought it for me one year when I first started doing this, and I was so intimidated. She spent like $50 on it, and I took it back and I said, I could use this other thing, and so I ended up getting something else that I needed for the kitchen. Dehydration,
Right.
It was too much for me at the time.
Right.
I was at a consignment shop for animals. I was getting my car washed, and there was a consignment shop. So I walked over to it while my car, it was like a 45-minute wait. I walked into this, and there was that dehydrator. Now, many years have gone by.
Right. Right.
And I took some, I bought it for $5.
That's
same
amazing.
dehydrator
That's amazing.
in the box, never used,
Yep.
$5.
Yep. And I'm like you, Lily. I get Christmas presents that other people wouldn't, like a $30 dehydrator or something. So that's what I have. And the nice thing is it helps you. Some people and some of your listeners are interested in raw cooking, and that's kind of like an oxymoron, but raw preparation of foods. And I know you've done that as well. And the dehydrator allows you to make crackers and patties and
Maybe
things like
we can do maybe something like that, because I'm still feeling a little intimidating about making crackers. Mixture and things.
You could, yeah. And some you can buy them too. There are a couple of brands on the market that I really like, but they're too salty for me, because we talked about how quickly your palate changes. And suddenly something that you liked a month ago now practically burns your mouth because there's so much salt in it. So raw crackers are great. I've done great things when I was cooking at a school with bananas, dehydrating bananas and then being able to store them.
Yes.
Yeah, it brings the flavors really to the surface, and strawberries, apples as well. It's a lot of fun. You can do herbs.
Dehydrate frozen foods? Let's say like I buy all my fruits frozen. I buy many of the things that I use for my smoothie in the morning.
Right.
It's all frozen. Why add ice? If I can just freeze my vegetables, I just, and it's cheaper. You go to Costco or Sam's, get the big old thing.
Yeah.
And they're organic, non-GMO. And so I buy a lot of strawberries, blueberries. Can I dehydrate a frozen food? Because I know that if I leave a frozen banana out, it becomes water.
Right. They become mushy, right? And that's because the ice crystals and with blueberries too, right? If you leave your morning frozen blueberries out, they'll be different.
Soggy.
I think they're still great to me. And strawberries, boy, they get really squishy, right? But, and I still like them that way, but not everybody will. I'm going to try it so that I could get back to you, but I haven't done that. I've always worked with fresh. My guess is that we're going to get a very different consistency, and what I don't want to happen is I don't want those liquids to come out and pour all over the bottom of the dehydrator. So I'm going to give it a try. And
so because that's true. So try putting the strawberries on the bottom and still dehydrate some of the fresh on the top.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a try. But but for right now, since we haven't tested it, let's let everybody work with fresh, because I know for a fact that those are amazing and really, really kid friendly and Very good for picky eaters.
Yes. And so we can all pick up a dehydrator, an inexpensive one. I
Yeah.
just didn't understand how long. Like I will, this is this is my human dehydrator. Okay, so I have this, I kid you not. This is I bought this originally to dry my nails. So I have this, and it works in my desk in my office here. But I bought one of these, like 10
Okay.
bucks, to dry my nails. And so what I do now, because I soak my nuts,
Mm-hmm.
and so when they're dry, I go ahead and put them in the salad spinner to get them a little drier, and then
Okay.
I spread them out on parchment paper or whatever I have, and then I put this air on it, and it dehydrates, or it takes the that out. And so this has been my dehydrator. I spent
That's great.
bucks on it. So does that work too? Because
Yes.
my nuts stay fresh.
It does. It does. And actually, that's what is in the back or the bottom of a dehydrator, depending on which model you have. It's a fan, just like that.
Uh-huh.
And it
But
retains a lot.
but it heats up though.
Yeah, but it doesn't go as high as an oven would.
Uh,
So I think when you dehydrate for raw cooking, you want to have everything stays 114 degrees and below. So
hmm.
you won't get to 350 degrees using your fan. It's really brilliant, actually, what you're doing. You're removing the moisture.
I'm just removing moisture. That's why it didn't make any sense. And then,
Yeah.
it's like my friend has this Excalibur and she sticks things in there for
Yeah.
24 hours. And I'm thinking,
know.
I just got this fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
And
got
what you're doing by soaking them, Lily, if your listeners might want to know, is you're sprouting it. You're beginning, you're enervating and energizing that nut or seed to do what it would do in nature, right? It would become a plant. So you're increasing its phytonutrients, its bioavailability. You're increasing the way your gut is going to digest it. So it makes sense if you want to soak them and then blow your fan over
and you're
it.
talking about raw nuts, not the ones that are
Yes.
salted and
Fried in oil. Absolutely.
yeah.
Raw nuts. And for some people, it takes a while to get used to the taste, but you'll never go back.
You never go back. And
No.
you know what, Karina? There's just so much of a need, and perhaps maybe Jacksonville will embrace this whole concept. Let's talk some more,
Sure.
because January is right around the corner.
It
Let's talk
is.
about creating an event where we can help the people of Jacksonville and anybody who wants to come to the event learn how to set ourselves up for success and why. Learns a new truth about food.
Right. And we'll be there at the beginning of the year. So everyone
Yeah.
usually has their eyes and ears open,
Mm-hmm.
because who doesn't want this to be their best day ever or their best year ever?
Yeah.
Let's do that, Lillian. I'm excited to partner with
Okay,
you.
wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.
Let's talk some more about this after the show, and
Okay,
we need to book
sure.
a date first, and I'll talk to the station. But I'm really excited about this because I remember when I first started this journey, it was
Mm-hmm.
really scary.
It's
And having a support group in Jacksonville to do this would be great. And if you ever come to Melbourne, that's another place where this is where I live. I live in Cape Canaveral.
yes.
Perhaps maybe if you decide from Jacksonville, it's just a 2-hour drive. Maybe I can bring you can stay with us,
Ah, thank
and
you.
maybe do something here too. We'll see,
Yeah.
because we'll see. I'm excited about this to
Well, and I
partner
hope
up.
it's not my last trip to the area. So, we can even do one up north and one closer to you, or
Sounds good.
I'm excited. We can do them
Sounds
both.
good. Sounds good. And so, Karina, I want to say thank you. And to my viewers, thank you for watching to the end. To be continued.